Hey, what's going on, guys? So just really quick, if you're listening to this audio, this is a recording of me talking to a seller. This list or this sort of market came from a tired landlord list. That's kind of who I'm marketing a lot to, is tired landlords, obviously vacant, distressed properties. But I love tired landlords literally for this very reason. I talk about this all the time. The beauty about tired landlords is a lot of times, if you call on the property that you're calling on and they're not interested in selling that one because they are landlords and own other properties, they might be interested in selling another property. Number two would be the fact that if they are interested in selling the property you are calling on, they still might actually even be interested in selling other properties because they own other properties. Again, they're landlords, they own multiple properties. So this is exactly what this conversation was about. I think it was just a great conversation to just, share with you guys on just like how to navigate through a conversation. You guys know I talk like this. I talk really fast. I talk kind of a little bit louder and things like that. But you notice how I actually mirror this seller. So he's a little bit more calm, a little more country. So I really try to match that because it is very true that when you mirror whoever you're talking to, it's kind of interesting, birds of a feather flock together, right? And people will do business with people they like, trust, and respect. And most people like themselves, trust themselves to some degree, obviously, and respect themselves. So when you can mirror that individual, it actually makes the conversation much more effective, because if someone is, talking like this and I have a property and you're like really loud and you're talking really fast and, it just... Obviously, there's some conflict there, and it could be a little aggressive to them, or vice versa. So, anyway, I think this is just a great call. I also just thought this call was super cool because I've heard of group homes before. Obviously, you hear me talk about that in this audio with the seller, but I just thought it was super awesome that he was doing it with the type of properties he was doing it with. But anyway, just check out the call. You can kind of take some notes on certain things that I ask about. And dive into to make sure it's a viable opportunity. But anyway, check it out.
Well, I've got 6 of them that I rent out.
Okay.
Are you looking to just buy rental properties to rent out, or
Yeah.
is this looking for something to live in?
No. To rent out. We're trying to. We have some cash from some projects that just finished up, and we're just looking to acquire some more properties. So.
Well, probably the only way I'd be interested in selling them is selling all 6 of the properties at one time.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine.
If you'll send me an email address, I can send you information on all of the properties.
Yeah, that would be great. Just out of curiosity, are they all occupied right now?
Oh yes, all of my properties are occupied. Are you intending to do renovations or anything and put other tenants in, or are you looking to just leave them as they are and continue on?
Well, so that's a great question. It really just depends on how we are able to buy the property. So if a seller is like, hey, look, I'm selling, 6, 7 of my properties, but I just want cash for everything, no questions. Well, that makes it a lot harder for us to do renovations, to really bring the properties up where they need to be. Because there's there's tenants in there, but we got to pay, a ton of cash and we can't really do much, so that's kind of a challenge. So one of the ways is we obviously talk to the seller about, mitigating their tax liability and figuring out a way to bring cash to the table that makes them happy, but being able to create notes for the properties that allow us to keep the tenants in place. So we don't have to, displace the tenants and kick them out, et cetera. We can buy them with the tenants in them. So I'm not sure if I'm assuming they're all owned free and clear. Would you be open to us bringing some cash to the table that makes sense for you, and we creating notes for the properties that make sense for what they're renting for, so we can keep the tenants there and make everybody happy?
Sure, I'd be open to that. All of my properties are leased through, well, except one of them, but 5 of them are leased through a contract that I have with the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. I leased them to the Department of Mental Health. They pay for 70% of the lease, and the tenant pays for 30% of the lease.
Interesting. Wow. I'm just kind of curious. How did you get that? That's a cool kind of. First of all, that's awesome that you're serving and helping people going through mental health issues. But how did you even go about that? That's amazing.
Well, I was actually just lucky enough to get a call from them one day. I had these properties, and I got a call from one of the workers at the mental health department that was looking to rent a piece of property. And whenever I got to talking to them, then they realized what I had as far as properties, and every time one of them came available, I had that contract with them. I just signed a contract on each property, to offer a lease to their tenant,
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's very interesting. And so, what does that look like? So how long are the leases usually? Is it month to month? Are they in there for a year, 2 years? How does that work?
They're in there for a year. The lease runs from year to year, but all of those properties, all of them have had the same tenant in them for, about 5 years, maybe longer than that.
Wow.
Except for one of them, and that tenant is a new tenant in there. He's only been in there 2 years.
Okay.
But all of them are still mental health tenants. The point I'm making is they stay there.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of them move. The only time one of them moves is, I lost one at COVID when she passed away.
Oh. Yeah.
And that kind of. Actually, I lost two during COVID. Got new tenants in there. So I've got two places that I've got new tenants in there that's been in there less than 5 years, but more than two.
Right. Right. Now, hopefully this isn't, a silly question, but, I feel like some people's perspective of mental health is different. So when you say a mental health tenant, who are these individuals that are in the homes with mental health issues?
These are mental health patients that that became mental health patients that they have put through different programs that are emotional and medical programs, and they have, I don't know if you want to call it graduated, but they have gotten to a level where mental health believes that they can take care of themselves on their own. In other words, they can cook their own meals, they can, wash their own clothes and take care of themselves like that. And all of these people get a monthly income from the government so that they're able to handle their own affairs. And the mental health works with them to teach them that they've got to pay their rent, they've got to pay so much on their electricity and water and that kind of thing. So it's just a program. I think it's called the 70-30 program, that the mental health takes people that have been in mental health situations, and they kind of carry them into being on their own.
Wow, first of all, that's amazing, and I know I've heard of Section 8 tenants and whatnot, but I've never really heard about it in this way with mental health. That's amazing. Do you find that in terms of your rent getting paid, that it gets paid just on time, or are there usually issues with sometimes the tenants have to, because they're kind of still dealing with things emotionally, or just
You have to keep in mind. Mental health, remember, pays 70% of it. So getting paid on time, I get it from mental health on a quarterly basis. They direct deposit the amount for 3 months for each house that they rent from me.
Okay.
And then the other 30% I collect from the tenant. And every tenant is more than more than pleased to pay their rent because they don't want to lose that 70% being paid.
Right, right.
So no, I don't have any problem with rental.
No, that makes sense. And are you collecting the 30% on a monthly basis, I'm assuming?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Okay.
You see, they get their check usually either on the 1st or the 3rd, and depending on when they get their check is when I collect their 30%.
Okay.
And usually their amount, and I call it 30%. It may be a different percentage because their program has changed through the years.
For sure.
How they actually do it.
Right.
But usually the tenant ends up paying somewhere around $100 to $150 rent on their rent.
Gotcha.
You know. So, but they figure it out and involve their power and their water and their garbage in the payments too. So,
right. Now I'm curious in terms of like the economics of this, to where, you know, let's say, you know, because as you know, when we as landlords, we own properties, taxes go up, you know, values go up, things like that. Are you kind of just capped at what the contract is with the program, or are you able to raise rents even just a tiny bit, or is it just, hey, you know, we don't raise them just because we're getting what we're getting, but no matter if the values are way higher, you know, the rents just kind of still stay at what they were, you know, years and years ago?
Well, that's a good question. Let me explain it this way. Like I said, I have been involved with the mental health now for over 5 years, doing this program. During that time period, I never raised my rent to any of them. What I did, because I liked the situation I had with them and the contract that I had with them, I didn't want to go to them and just up their rent. So, you know, what I did was I bided my time, and whenever the situation started and all of the rents started going up, they actually came to me and told me that this might be a good time for you to raise your rent if you're going to raise your rent.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
And I explained to them, well, you know, I was getting ready to talk to you about that, you know. So actually here, right after the pandemic, or during and after, as new leases came up, we raised the rent. And the rent that I had on all of those houses was, and I assume you know by knowing where that one is, most of my houses, or actually all of them, are in lower income areas.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So my rents have been, for the longest period of time, $500 a month.
Right.
And whenever they came to me, they agreed, and I agreed that, you know, I wanted my houses to be around $700 a month. So what they did was they looked at each person's individual income that is in the house and what they could afford and what mental health was willing to put into each individual. And they came up with the figures, and on each one of the houses that they rent from me now, they pay, the rent is anywhere from $650 to $700 a month.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, first.
So, you know, yeah, they let you raise. You know, you could probably go to them and force them more raises.
No,
because they need property, but I just don't do it that way.
Right?
You know, I
I'm
having
there.
a good relationship.
Yes. And I'm right there with you. I'm just more so kind of curious how that, you know, just how that would pan out. But I'm right there with you. You know, I always say, you know, look, I mean, you know, maybe you raise the rents another $100, $150, and they just can't, your tenant has to move out. You know, the cost of having to turn that property over may not make sense for, you know, you having to put the money in, how long it'll be vacant for, just to get an extra, you know, maybe $1,200 at the end of the year. You know what I mean? So Sometimes it just makes sense, and that's for like a standard rental. But in this case, it's kind of the same thing, but more relational, meaning, it makes more sense to just keep that relationship, just because of the nature of the consistency and whatnot, which is really cool. I've never heard about it, but that's awesome. Well, hey, I don't want to keep you long here. Let me, do you have something to write down? If you could send me an email of all 6 properties, their addresses, the occupancy, what they're renting for, et cetera. I'd love to kind of come up with an idea of what could work for us to keep these tenants in there, make everyone happy, and we can buy the properties, like I said, from you, and just bring some cash to closing, and then you just get regular income every month, instead of landlording income, no taxes or insurance, the whole 9 yards, So
well, I'll tell you what working with the mental health department has also done for me. It's allowed me to. I'll tell you what I did. I bought a small mobile home park that has 6 double-wide mobile homes in it.
Oh, no way.
And those 6 double-wide mobile homes, what I've done as people have moved out of them, the original tenants that were in them, and I've had 4 of them move out. I turned each one of those properties into a rent by the room property.
Oh, no way. Yes, I've heard of that. They call them, a buddy of mine calls them in Atlanta, group homes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what I've done since I had that relationship with the mental health department, as these people graduate from the 70-30 program and go on their own completely, and they have a complete income on their own, I rent them a room in this double wide. I have 5 bedrooms in each double wide.
Oh my goodness!
I take in $2,500 a month on each double wide.
Oh my gosh!
And I pay for the power, water, garbage, and I supply Wi-Fi and internet with that.
That is amazing.
Which costs me about $500 a month per unit.
That's amazing.
But it's worked pretty well. But no, I'll tell you what, if you will text me your email address, I'll try to do that. Now, I may not do it today. I am up in Wisconsin. I am on. My mother-in-law is 93. We're up here taking care of her, and I don't know when I'll have time to be able to get to it to do it. But I'll try to get it one day this week and shoot it to you if that'll be okay.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine, and no disrespect at all to the situation, but I'm like super eager about this. So as soon as you could get it over, the quicker would be amazing. Because
if I have time. Yeah. If I have time, I'll work on it today or this evening and try to get it to you pretty quick. Okay?
Yeah, that would be amazing, because I'm gonna go through a bunch of numbers and just kind of go through the whole situation. But I love talking to you, man. you got some cool stuff going. It's awesome. Love to meet you in person at one point too. So.
Well, shoot me your email and I'll get something to you right away.
Okay.
And I'll even send you the information on my mobile home park.
Yeah, I would love
to see the numbers on that.
Yeah, well, as in just for fun, or like you would be open maybe selling that?
Well, I'd be open to selling that as well.
Okay,
I'll tell you what I've got there right now. Like I said, I've got 6 double wides.
Okay.
2 of those are renting out still to families, individual families.
Okay.
And I only get 700 on one of them. The other one I get 900 on it.
Okay.
I have gone up on the rent on it, but I haven't gone up on the 700. But I'm kind of waiting for them to move, or I want them to move so I can change them over, But those 6 double wides right now, I take in over $10,000 a month off of them.
That's amazing. Wow.
But I'll shoot you those numbers and tenant information and everything on those as well.
Okay. That sounds great, man. I appreciate. And what was your name again?
Dan.
My name is Miles. Miles.
Miles?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dan. I'll shoot you a text message right now. And man,
Okay.
let's make something happen. I love it, man. It was
Okay.
it was kind of inspiring talking to you too. So it's awesome. I love it. I appreciate it.
Well, shoot it to me, and I'll get some information out to you, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Dan. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Boom, baby. How freaking amazing was that? Oh my goodness, guys. Wow. That's one thing I love about real estate. I'm going to be quite honest. Like, I had 2 deals that I was so stoked about that was supposed to just be a simple like assignment and just make some extra cash. And they both just kind of like blew up. Like the first guy decided to just sell to someone else, totally random, even after I went to the property because he was supposed to just really make it work out with me. And then the other property, apparently who I was talking to was like not the right individual. It is just kind of all crazy, but you know, that's why it's all about how do you navigate your losses in this business. If you give up, dude, you'll never get to things like this. Like I get back in Monday morning, I'm back in here, you know, marketing out to sellers, having conversations. You know, my wife has hit me up because there's like a birthday party event thing, and I'm like, you know, want to just leave and just like forget it. I'm just gonna go hang out with them and whatnot. But I'm like, man, let me just press on a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I call on a guy that's totally open to not only selling one of his properties, but a portfolio of 6. And not only a portfolio of 6, but also creative finance. And not only that, but a mobile home park that he also does a group home situation. I mean, just absolutely amazing. I love real estate. So awesome. So I am absolutely going to be buying these deals. Will not wholesale these at all, but I am really, really fired up about potentially growing the portfolio to 6 more doors, and then another, actually, I guess that would be 12 doors, 6 single family homes, and then 12 double wides that are being used, or 6 double wides that are being used as group homes. But anyway, that was a really, really great call. So I just wanted to, you know, record that and share that with you guys. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about that call.